Greetings, my name is Rudimentary Rob. Welcome back to my Valheim series. Today is a big one. This episode is a culmination of about 2 hour session, and to say a lot happened would be the understatement of, well, today at least, possibly for a longer period as well. So strap yourself in. Put on your emergency brown safety pants, as well as your fire retardant helmet, and yeah. Alright, we're just starting off by wading through the usual array of locals. Thankfully, this time we have been joined by a couple of very helpful Dverga. And unfortunately, we get to come across this guy for the first time. This is a fallen Valkyrie, and I'm not sure if these guys are a bigger pain in the backside than the Morgans, but I'll let you see if you can come to that conclusion or not. Yeah, that spin attack hits crazy hard sometimes. Unfortunately, I'm having a bit of trouble picking up a lot of stuff because you may notice that my bags are already very full and we feel like we haven't gone anywhere. Well, we are very much on a mission, and as I indicated in a previous episode, we discovered a fort, and I have every intention of capturing that fort and killing everything inside it. Well, technically everything inside it is already, dead and then a step beyond, but you know what I mean. So, to say that the episode took a very, very long time to record may indicate the kind of resistance that we encountered. So, not really going to spoil it any further, but the quantity of Valkyries that we seem to be coming across should be a decent indicator in terms of what sort of gameplay session we were in for when we did all of this. Yeah, fallen Valkyries are a royal pain in any particular hole that you would care to mention. So, yeah, anyway, we got rid of 2 so far. Let's see how we go with trying to dodge any more. Okay, so you're seeing me randomly shooting at the corner of the fort. That's because each corner of the fort actually has a ballista on it. And look, in heavy armor, the ballista bolts actually aren't too bad. But given the quantity of other resistance that you tend to have around these forts, if you can thin out the incoming damage a little bit, it's usually a good idea. So I try and pick those ballistas off as early as possible, and then that lets me move in close to the wall, sort of under the guns as it were, to get set up. We're going to drop our benches, we're going to drop a portal, except this time we're going to drop a stone portal, which is why we brought enough materials to build the stoneworking bench, because you need one of those to put one of these portals down. And we've still got a few leftover mats there that we want to keep here, so we are actually going to be firstly wasting a healing potion, because I normally put the hoe on slot 7, and of course I manually equipped it this time, so yep, hooray brain. Just for reference, there is an element of tired in this particular episode. This was recorded at about 5 AM on a Sunday morning, so hooray for that as well. Alright, now before we get too engrossed in the upcoming action, I'm just going to set the stage a little bit. So while we're setting up here, it is getting a bit late in the day, and of course any kind of building or terrain manipulation usually attracts a few of the locals. That's just inevitable. But you will also be hearing rather a lot of activity inside the wall. That's for 2 reasons. One, I mean, there's usually, I don't know, half a dozen dudes in there by default, possibly more. But then, on top of that, there's actually 2 summoners in there, as in 2 summoning style things. They're not the stone ones, but they're kind of a bit like them. Now, they will, you know, keep summoning stuff as long as it's needed. And I'll come back to that in a moment, because we're encountering our first bit of if Valheim can really screw up your day. Yeah, it will. So we've got a fallen Valkyrie, we've got a stone guy who exploded, we're taking a lot of damage. We've got a few stragglers coming in. We seem to be going alright so far, but yeah, it's not if you cop that in the back, you're not going very well. And we're getting super low. I think you can pretty much see the writing on the wall at this stage. And adding insult to injury, one of the mob types that are in the forts is a warlock. And the warlock can actually drop its own summoning portal, out of which they also unleash, you know, the demons from hell. Now, I've done well to stay alive this long, and I thought it was the mobs that killed me there, but when I got back to my body, I realised I'd actually just stood on the lava, so that one was definitely my fault. But I have a feeling I probably wouldn't have lasted much longer with that much incoming damage, and my my healing pot was still, you know, on cooldown. So yeah, you can see there plain as day that I ended up on the I end up on the lava, and that's just, yeah, you should never go on the lava. I should have just run back towards the diverger, but, you know, coulda, shoulda, woulda, didn't. But we've retreated a bit to take stock, get ourselves re-equipped, and to find ourselves facing a Morgan. Yeah. You know, that thing that Valheim likes to do from time to time? You know, back in the day, putting a whole bunch of those rancid remains in my first dungeon, and... well, apparently it's been going easy on me for every episode prior to this one, because it absolutely unleashed hell for me during this episode. And even after we get rid of this current round of chaos that we have, trust me, there is more to come. Okay, this time we have retreated to the diverger. I don't expect the diverger are going to provide, you know, huge amounts of assistance. It's more that they're just other targets to potentially distract the Morgan or the Valkyrie or both. And it seems to have served its purpose. We did get the Valkyrie down, and being left with just a Morgan now is, let's say, a little bit more manageable. Alright, now, distraction done. I'll get back to what I was saying before about the potential hell that's awaiting me inside that fort. Basically, yep, you can have 1 or 2, I think I've even had 3 warlocks at one stage. Not in this episode, just previously. The warlocks drop those green summoning portals, and that's where the green coloured... you know, charred come from. The ground-based summoners, there's 2 of those. They spit out pretty much everything else, including potentially other warlocks. So when we go over the wall here, we're essentially got the first task. Obviously, is to delete the spawners, because there's no, it doesn't matter if I sit on the wall and just pew pew every single, you know, chard that comes up to meet me, if the summoners inside the courtyard are just going to replace them in the next 5 seconds. You know, it's like dealing with any other spot that summons mobs. So you've just got to essentially focus fire on the 2 summoning portals. And then once you've done those, you need to kill off all the warlocks so that they can't summon in extra mobs that way. And then once you've got rid of the 2 sources of new mobs, you can then, you know, mop up the rest. Now, that may sound straightforward. Strap in, put on your chunkiest defensive gear that you have on hand, and you may even want to hug a pillow. You're about to see just how painful this can get. Alright, hold my beer, we're going in. Alright, this is our first summoning altar. We're just going with the Door Knocker Mark III approach, because in addition to damaging the altar, it knocks a lot of the mobs back, so it gives me a little bit of breathing room. As you can see, you can get overwhelmed very quickly, but we can't retreat. We've got to kill both of these and then maybe retreat. It's usually a good idea to make good use of these stairs and things, because you can lead the melee mobs up here, and that sort of gives you a bit of time to get... You can just drop down and get a few shots at the altars. But while I'm up here, I'm just making good use of the time to get rid of a couple of the ballistas as well. Okay, I don't think I've ever had a warlock summon a portal outside like this, so this was a little unexpected and definitely very undesirable. Yeah, I think I might have been standing on a bit of lava there as well. But, once again, the writing was pretty much on the wall. So, anyone keeping track of how many times I've died? That's alright, the count's not over yet. Alright, we took that as an opportunity just to do a bit of an unload as well. And we're back here, and this warlock has just got to go. We are very literally fighting a losing battle while ever these warlocks are still around. And relax. But we're not there yet. Granted, we have dealt with some of the problems, but as you can see, we have quite a lot more charred to get through before we can call this fort our own. Alright, little bit of reconstruction required here. We'd lost all of our benches and our portal. So we're just going to take a hot moment here just to get everything set up again. So that if we do, or when we do die again, we can get back here much more quickly and easily. Yeah, cooler heads prevailed. I decided that I was going to go back to base, sleep out the night, get a rested buff, and see if we can, under the cool light of morning, actually get an outcome to this catastrophe. Yeah, I didn't want to disappoint you guys when I said when I die again. Of course, when I say that, I have to die again, don't I? Just a little update there on what my skills look like after the murder that has occurred so far this episode. As I said in a couple of episodes previous, that I have nerfed the death penalty quite a lot. There still is one, and I do still lose skill points, just not at the rate that I would with the default settings. I mean, if you had a session like I had here on the default settings, I doubt I would have enough skills to, solo meaningfully in, Ashlands. I'd get back into a situation where I may not have had enough block. So, yeah. I saw this coming a long time ago. Alright, now this time I did what I should have done on at least the last 2 attempts, which is just to chill, do other stuff, and wait for my bone mass to come on cooldown, because the amount of melee damage that these warriors were putting out, it was just impossible for me to tank that while I'm using the Doorknocker Mark III. So to an extent, the damage is mitigated by having bone mass running, and boom, there we go. The fort is ours. We moved our portal inside. There's going to be some pretty savage jump cuts from here until the end of the episode, simply because there was a lot of toing and froing, and a lot of steps that weren't really very informative at all. So, we went back to base, we got the metal we needed for a shield generator, we've fired that up, so we've got our benches, we've got our portal, so now we get to have a look at our fat loot. And this is most frequently how I get Flametal for the first time, is inside these forts. That said though, you don't get a hell of a lot. I got a total of 21 Flametal. I've been a lot luckier than that previously, but 21 is not too bad. It will let me do a couple of things that will provide some enhancements and maybe make my play experience a little bit easier in the next session. Now, I was having a bit of a go here because I'd seen a video, but it must have been from a much older version of Ashlands, where you can dig under the door. But as you can see, they nerfed that for understandable reasons. So we abandoned that quest. We went back to base. We smelted up some flametal, and several thousand pages worth of unlocked recipes later, you can see that we can now make a lot of armour, we can make a lot of weapons. There's a new tower shield there. I am going to very much need a lot more flametal to barely scratch the surface on what I need to make. But rest assured, we will gradually eat away at that need over time, and with each new batch of flametal we will make some useful improvements in our gear. Now, the one thing that you do want to save some flametal for is to make one of these fellas. Now you can pick them up and you know, move them to the next fort, but you need one of these to get through the inner door. It's a battering ram. You need to add wood to the back of it, and you need to make sure that you face the two arms, because it looks like a horse-drawn cart. You got to make sure that this side of it is the business side of it. It's got to face the door, and this is where the wood goes. It does use quite a bit of wood, so make sure you don't just throw one in there and expect that to do the job. So when you're ready, you stand there and you hit use, but sometimes the knockback from the door does, you know, odd things, and you just got to push it around until you can get it back to where you want it. It's a bit of a dog's breakfast to maneuver, but you'll get the hang of it. Now, it normally doesn't take a lot of hits to knock the door down, and in fact, there we go. So we can unequip the battering ram and get in here for our fat loot. We can see there's a couple of molten cores there. We got some more feathers. We got some gems. The gems are what you need for a lot of the really good stuff. You would have seen a few of the mage staves get unlocked, but there are a couple of other things that you need the gems for, and we will cover those in due course. Now that we've looted the fort and the fort is ours, we are going to keep the portal here, and this will be like a little beachhead that we've got inland, and this will allow us to extend our searching and exploration further south into Ashlands. Now we went back to base. This is one of the improvements I decided to make. Given I needed 10 flametal for the ram, only left me with 11 for other things. So I decided I needed to upgrade the cauldron to get better food, because better food means better health, and that means better survivability. So that is the road that we went down, and we're going to cook up some of the new recipes here shortly. Most particularly a couple of bits of better health food. These two pies do, like, they're the best and the second best health foods. One is 105 and the other one is 100 health. And we're going to need a lot more mats to make more of them, but rest assured that will be a very high priority for me in the coming episodes. Now, one other improvement that I was able to do, and I did end up cutting it from this because the episode was already running a bit long, but our carapace armour wasn't fully upgraded because we needed another level on the Black Forge. One of the improvements that we unlocked by having smelted flametal was it allowed us to add a level to our Black Forge, and so we did that, and then we ended up upgrading our carapace armor to the maximum level. It's not a huge improvement, it's only an extra 2 armor per piece, but look, at this point everything counts. Alright, and that brings us to the end of the episode. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you want to see more, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and to make sure you are subscribed and you've hit the notification bell. In the meantime, my name is Rudimentary Rob. Thank you very much for watching and have yourself a fantastic day.